in some cases it's agreeing to disagree. And just because someone disagrees with you on one point, I'll say this too in truth too. Just if someone disagrees with you on one point, doesn't mean they're disagreeing on doctrine.
Yeah.
If it's just a matter of like personal choice and personal taste.
Of course, yeah.
You know, it's just their personal spirit. Like what did you say? Chocolate, right? Easter egg. I wouldn't go out my way and buy no Easter egg and say, yeah, I've got to get an Easter. It's Easter. You know, but someone, if I was at work and someone give me an Easter egg, I'll say, oh, thank you very much. I'm not going to tell. I know why I'm doing. I like chocolate. You understand? I'm not going to say I'm celebrating. But let me say this too, right? If he thinks that if his spirit, I'm reading his spirit, that he thinks he's gonna have me to come over to his side, I'd rather say no. I don't like chocolate. Yeah. It's all about the spirit. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
How you do it, how you can do something.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you have to serve the Most High. You have to do that with clear conscience.
Yeah. And the scriptures do say, "Be wise as serpents and harmless as doves." You know, so you're using your wisdom, but yet at the same time you're being harmless because we are as sheep amongst wolves. Like imagine in the workplace, like just use a hypothetical situation. You're at the workplace, someone comes in and they give you a flipping Easter egg, and then you start cursing them out, saying, "Oh, you're going off." You know, the scriptures say, you know, Exodus 20:4, we're not supposed to have any other gods. And you start trying to break down scriptures in your job.
Yeah.
That could get you into trouble because then they could be like, oh well, he's one of those black Hebrew Israelites and they hate white people and all this kind of madness. That could get you fired from your job. So, you know, as the brother's saying, rightfully so, you've got to use wisdom in all situations, man. Like, and every situation is going to be different. Because like you said, like we all come to the truth and we've all got a common foundation in the doctrine. We all believe in the same doctrine. When it comes to this Bible, there's no variance among us. But different brothers have different spirits, different brothers have different interests. Like for example, you know, you're into the herbs, you're into the healing. That's your gift from the Most High, that's your spirit. Whereas I'm into other things, you know. That's what music. Music and art and things like that, visual art. I love that stuff, but that's the spirit the Most High gave me. And another brother might be into you know, other things, but we all come together.
Some brothers into martial arts.
Exactly. And you like the boxing as well. So we've got different spirits, but we all come together through the unity of the scriptures.
Well, I'll say this because there was a character who was around, no longer around, fortunately. You know, Most High took that spirit away from me, right? And he was so overbearing, right? Now I watch boxing, and brothers don't have to watch boxing, but I watch boxing. But boxing's my outlet. Now I deal with the truth, but because of my condition, I need to have a physical outlet. You understand what I'm saying? Now I can read. I can sit down in the house and read, right, for maybe about an hour, half an hour. I'll be pushing it if I did it for an hour. But after that, I've got to go. I've got to do something physically. You know what I mean? Because the classroom setting now when I mentioned boxing to him, it's like when that spirit, his true spirit came out. Like, what are you supposed to be doing? You know, like that's like it made me feel bad, man. Like.
What, for having an outlet?
Just like it's like some people ain't got that. They can't agree. They don't know about being able to read spirits and relax and just you understand and maybe trying to understand why. You know what I mean? They don't want to. They don't even want to try. Maybe I wonder why. No, I don't. Fucking hell. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
I know exactly. Yeah. They've got no fucking understanding.
I do 10 videos and fucking you don't do as much as me. Why don't? And you actually not doing as much as me, and you still doing. You still have an outlet. How dare you? That's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about now. And he was the same with me. But the thing is, man, that dude burnt out too quick. Because that constant go spirit, you're gonna burn out, man. You can't. We're in the flesh. The Most High created every brother with a different spirit. He's given there's different things that brothers do to relax when they're not doing this work, because you can't do this work 24/7. We're not made to be that way. We're mortals in this flesh, so we do the best of our ability. But the thing is with them over-righteous demons is that they want to try and project that they're doing more work than the other man in the truth, and the other men aren't worthy because they're not meeting up with their quota. But that's ridiculous, because really they're just trying to appear righteous in the sight of men when they're really not about it. I mean, the videos like this guy, man. It's like I'm gonna have to mention this, man. This is the same guy who might criticize you for being into boxing, but yet they're posting fucking videos of animals. Like just literal videos of dogs, no speaking, no scriptures, no precepts, but yet they're calling that doing the work of the Lord. Are you fucking stupid, man? Of course you're fucking stupid, because only an idiot would try and pass that off as doing the work of the Lord. What did Isaiah 58 verse 3 say? Cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice as a trumpet and shew my people their transgressions. How is posting a video of dogs being taken out of Ukraine with all this fucking cheap ass corny music over the top, how is that doing the work of the Lord? Who is that edifying, man? Are you doing this work for the edification, or are you doing it for your own self-gratification? Well, I know the answer to that question because it's been proven over time, but guys like that are full of shit, man. Absolutely full of shit, and they want to front like they ain't, but they know deep down they ain't shit, man. So lucky to get, well no, not so lucky, man. Look, man, I swear a lot, and I'm not apologetic for it. Because you know you get people say, oh, why are you swearing? Why do you have to use harsh language? Well, though I be rude in speech, but not in knowledge. And if you can't take some fucking harsh language in this time, then you need to wake up, because we're coming into a time when Yahweh is going to bring great judgment, death, famine, war, pestilence. All these things are coming on the earth. And if you're worried about a few harsh words in a video, then you need to check your priorities. Real talk, straight up. Keep going. You got any more? I was going to look for an article.
No, I think I made my point. Yeah.
Right. Bear with me, I'm going to get an article, because brother put this in the chat. And I think it's worth speaking on. Because we were talking about these flipping Easter. You know, these unholy days. They're not holidays, they're unholy days. So, brother put this in the chat yesterday. I'm going to read it out and talk about it. This is an article from the Daily Mirror. It says, mum shot dead at son's grave on what would have been his first birthday in heaven. So let me read that again, because that's actually quite comical. It says, mum shot dead at son's grave on what would have been his first birthday in heaven. And it's a Jake woman here, right? It says Yolanda N. Gayoja was shot on Tuesday as she visited the grave of her dead son Amir. Right? So it says, morning, Yolanda N. Gajola, if I'm saying that correctly, Gajoya, it's a hard name to pronounce, was visiting the grave of her dead son Amir on March 22, when he was shot dead as police launched a murder probe after the shooting in Texas, USA. Now, I'm going to say this first and foremost. I'm going to say this. It might sound harsh, but I'm going to say it. A lot of Jake who are raised by a single parent, i.e. their mum, are bugged out. A lot of those young men, especially the men, the women too, they're bugged out, but especially the men, because these men are very effeminate, and they've got no self-control, no self-discipline. And it shows, man. What has been the fruit of the destruction of the household of the Israelite family? You've got these young fucking niggas who want to grow up and be thugs and gangbangers, and they want to be into all kind of bad shit, and they ain't got no fucking signs of any moral integrity to show. They've got no virtue, no integrity, no honor. They're full of shit, but that's because they are raised by their mums. They got no discipline. They don't know how to be men. And as Apostle Kabar says, to be a man of the Lord, you need to be a man first. But these young gremlins that are running around, what was it, Apostle Bakar calls them GMO babies?
Yes.
These young characters, they ain't got no fucking character. They got no integrity. They've got no fucking backbone. They're spineless.
Yeah.
That's why they're quick to run around and put a weapon in their pocket. You see, back in my day, if you was going to get in a fight with a guy, it would be fists.
Yeah.
You know, you throw hands with another guy. And whoever win the fight, that's it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then you move on from that.
You move on.
And I can't remember if it's brothers who were saying this the other day, or if I was just talking to uncles, I can't remember. But when you actually have a fist fight with someone, you get out a lot of your frustrations, and afterwards...
that masculine competitive spirit that all men have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And afterwards, usually, you and the guy you fought with will end up being cool.
Yeah.
At least in my experience, that happened a couple of times. Obviously, there's some fucking arseholes who you fight one time and they don't learn, you fight them again, But for the most part, it is part of... It's actually human nature to have conflict and disagreements. But it's how you deal with it. You know what I mean? The way that these young people today, especially Jake, think of solving situations is escalation. Like, they don't know how to de-escalate a situation, they only know how to escalate it. And that, a lot of it comes from pride. Because when you don't want to admit that you're wrong, that's when you start digging your heels in like, nah. But really, you know, you got to be flexible, man. You can't be stiff as a board all the time. You got to have some give to, like you were saying with your brother. You know, you had situations where it was always him projecting his spirit onto you and never wanting to be flexible to see your point of view. That's the same situation I grew up in with my brother. I mean, like, I spent a lot of time feeling oppressed by his spirit because he was bigger than me, stronger than me, you know, and I never used to get much of a say if he was around. It's either his way or the highway. And a lot of the times I didn't want to go his way, so it would be the highway, meaning we'd end up getting into scraps. You know, and you know, he'd throw his weight around, but I'd always fight him because with me, even if I knew I was going to get my ass kicked, I'd always fight because I thought it's better to get your ass kicked than to be a coward. And at least if you fight and you lose, you're not a coward. You know, you fought a good fight, and you're not always going to win, man. See, that's another thing about Esau's teaching and stuff. Like, you know, you can talk about Floyd Mayweather. He's got a perfect record, they'd say, right?
Only in the ring. He says he only in the ring.
Right. Yeah. But a lot of people will be like, oh, he's so great because of that record. But really, sometimes you need to lose in order to improve. Sometimes you need to see how something doesn't work in order to learn why it does work. Like, for example, you was mainly giving testimonies about how before you came to the truth, you was into the Christian church, you was into Jehovah's Witness. You went through those avenues, and you learned the seedy underbelly of what these institutions are like. Because a lot of people will look at it from the outside and be like, oh, they're good people, they're going to church every Sunday, they're doing this. But when you got in there, you saw the corruption. Right. You saw the inner machine, yep. The inside of it, just like with Jehovah's Witness. Yep. So you've been through both of these things, and now you're in the truth. And now you're in the truth, you can bring that wisdom with you. Because you've seen how things can be corrupt. Because you wouldn't be in the truth if you saw the same things going on within the camp that you saw in the Christian church, would you? Because you know how to spot the warning signs. So what was I saying there? I lost my point. Young Jake, they're all emotional, right? Now, as I was saying, they only know how to escalate a situation, and that's a very feminine trait. Because if ever you've had a woman, right, you might be talking to her, and then the conversation takes a nosedive, a demon enters into her, and she starts talking some shit, right? And you say, well, okay, I'm sorry, blah blah blah. And you might think, as a man, you said you're sorry, that's the end of it. Then she starts bringing up some shit, but last month when we was at the shop, you said that to me, and I'm like, but hang on a minute, that was last month. Yeah, but, and then you said this, and you said that. You see, that's a very feminine tendency to do that, because women, they hold on to shit, and they let it fester in their mind, and then you might think you've dealt with it, you squashed the conversation, you put it out there, then she'll be bringing that stuff up years later and throwing it back at you. That's how a lot of these young Jake are behaving now in the world. So now when they get into conflicts with other men, well, I'm not going to call them men because they're not men, when they get involved in conflicts with other boys, you know, because they're acting like boys, they can't actually look at themselves and say, hey, you know what, man, alright, cool, I was wrong, let's move on, I'm sorry. See, three words I just said there. Okay, I'm wrong, I'm sorry, let's move on. If they could say that, then maybe they wouldn't have so much trouble. But a lot of them can't say that, and that's because of pride. And because of their pride, they keep holding on to shit, and then shit escalates, and it goes further and further and further until eventually someone ends up getting killed. And that's what happens in a lot of Jake's situations. Either someone gets killed, or someone ends up in prison for some shit. You know? And those aren't really wise ways to deal with situations. But this all goes back to them being raised by their mothers. Because if they had strong fathers who were in the house, teaching them the truth, guiding them up, bringing them up in the way of the scriptures, the right way, then they would have the spiritual and mental ability in order to be able to overcome situations. Because all of us brothers in the truth, like we all came from the world, but we was all in situations before we came to the truth. But somehow, some way, some shape, some form, the Most High gave us the ability to rise above these situations and get out of them rather than to stay in them situations and be destroyed in them. You know?
Yeah.
So, you got one, or shall I keep reading?
Yeah.
I'll read on?
Yeah, read on.
Right, so it says, a grieving mother was gunned down in a cemetery. You got to love the irony of the scene, because we said before, the Most High is the perfect hitman, man. So the Most High is sitting on his throne, right? And this woman's son got shot dead. And the Most High sanctioned that. So then he's like, you know what? On the year, when it comes around to his son's birthday, I'm going to take her ass out too. And we're going to take her ass out at the cemetery. So the Most High calculated exactly when, where, what time, and how this woman would be shot dead. And you kind of have to laugh at the irony of it. And the reason why I say you have to laugh at it is because Proverbs 1 says, could you get me Proverbs 1:21, Baba Kasha? I think it's 1:21. I shall mock when your fair cometh.
Yeah, it's funny, I was right on Proverbs chapter 1. 20, did you say 21?
I think so. I will mock when your fair cometh, when your desolation. Roughly paraphrasing it. Is it there? Yeah, I will also laugh at your calamity.
Yeah, exactly.
Proverbs 1:26.
Yeah.
The word. Actually, hang on. Let's start up a bit because it's good. 23, start 20. No, 20. Start 22 and read down. Thank you. The what? A bit of meat on this bone, so let's get it off.
Right, so Proverbs chapter 1 and 22. How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn you, at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit upon you, and I will make known my words unto you. Because I have called, and ye refused, I have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded.
Right, pause there. So, yeah, we've been calling for the longest. You know, the prophets have been out there, and we've been trying to tell our people, repent, for the day of the Lord is at hand. But they haven't taken heed. They haven't hearkened unto our voice. They've continued on in their own wicked ways. So this is the outcome of it. Read on, Baba Kasha.
Regarding 25 now. But ye have set a naught all my counsel, and would none of my reproof.
That's right.
And I also will laugh at your calamity, and I will mock when your fear cometh.
That's right. Read that again. I will laugh.
And also I will laugh at your calamity, and I will mock when your fear cometh.
Yep, read on.
When your fear cometh as a desolation, and your destruction cometh as a whirlwind, when your distress and anguish cometh upon you. Then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer, and they shall seek me early, but they shall not find me.
That's why I said this is a comical situation which we laugh at, because this woman got gunned down in a cemetery of all places. Like, I guess they didn't have to take her body far. Well, technically she go back to the hospital, the morgue, to the coroner, they should be buried. But you know, really they could have just thrown her ass in a ditch in a cemetery right there. So it says, a grieving mother was gunned down in a cemetery as she visited the grave of her recently deceased son on his first birthday in heaven. See, that's the point of why I'm laughing at this, because first of all, we're not supposed to be celebrating birthdays, because the whole idea of worshipping the day that you were born, what the fuck's that about? Where in the scriptures did you ever see anybody celebrate a birthday that was in the truth, like an Israelite? Because in the scriptures it does mention birthdays, but usually it's someone's birthday in the scriptures, something bad ended up happening. Like, for example, is it King Herod's birthday, where he got
John the Baptist.
Yeah, John the Baptist put it. I think it was one of their birthdays. I have to read the account. It's lucky if I'm off, but I know that usually when birthdays were mentioned in the scriptures, nothing positive came out of it, right? So another thing as well, you're not supposed to celebrate your birthdays, because going back to, I believe it was Anton LaVey, who was the founder of the first church of Satanism. He wrote a book called the Satanic Bible, and I believe in that book it was talking about the worship of birthdays, and they were saying there is no greater thing for a Satanist to worship than their own birthday, because they're giving glory and honor unto themselves, when really all glory, all praise, honor and glory belongs to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. We're not to be reverenced and worshipped, so why the hell should we have people flipping, celebrating the day that we came into this earth? And furthermore, there's another scripture which says, I believe it's in the book of Job, better is the day of one's... No, actually it's not Job, it's Ecclesiastes 3. Let me get it quickly. I think it's Ecclesiastes 3. Bear with me, Baba Kasha.
So when you say you want it?
I'm looking for one. It says, I believe it's in Ecclesiastes. Better is the day of one's death than the day of one's birth.
I think it's Ecclesiastes.
I'll get it. Are you holding one on deck?
Yeah, I've got one. Shall I bring it out, yeah?
Just bear with me. Let me bring this and then we'll get that. Yeah, Ecclesiastes 7. I was walking on one place. Ecclesiastes 7:1. A good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death is better than the day of one's birth. So the whole thing about celebrating the birthday, what the fuck are you talking about, man? The scriptures tell you that the day of your death is actually better than the day of your birth, because when you're dead and you're in the spiritual realm, you're at peace, man. Whereas when you're on earth through an Israelite on this side, this is the place of judgment, man. This is the place where you're going to be mourning, suffering afflictions, sicknesses, everything going wrong, because we're under the curses of Deuteronomy 28. So on this side, our lives are tedious, stressful. There's a lot of toil, a lot of heartbreak, everything, as Ahab. You know, a lot of things go wrong for us on this side, but when you're in the spiritual realm, you're rested, man. So the day of one's death is better than the day of one's birth. Bring out your precept, Baba Kashan.
Yeah, man. It's just the one you just brought out about how the Most High will laugh, innit? It says, let the destruction come upon him at unawares, and let his net that he hath hid catch himself unto the very destruction. Let him fall. Right.
Did you speak on it?
So yeah, man. That woman that did. Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Praise Yahweh. Hello.
That's all right.
Yeah, so eventually it caught up with her, didn't it?
Yeah?
Eventually caught up with her, celebrating. And as you said in the chat, they're not cognitive. They would never, nobody would watch that and say, what the hell? What? Every time I see things like that happen, it's like birthdays, it's like it's some kind of dark cloud over birthday. No one would really think about that.
Yeah.
So you gotta be, what's the word, man? You gotta be
spiritually
minded. You gotta understand. Really, you gotta understand. Be spiritually minded and understand the precepts and be taught, man.
Yeah.
Be taught really from. You need to be taught by elders and apostles, which we have been.
Yes.
Because you wouldn't just put two and two. You wouldn't just put the puzzles together by trial and error. There's a lot of things you can do through, as what's led us into the truth. Trial and error, learning from making our mistakes, understanding the fear of the Most High. That was all from the Most High anyway, but it's like the Most High had to let us go through that trial and error. Yeah. But there's some things that you need to be taught.
Yeah,
definitely. You need to. Experience is not just enough. You need to be taught. You know, like education. It's like with education, like I know a little bit of maths, but in order for me to go to the next level, I would need to be taught maths. I can't just be in the world and fucking go to the shop and learn from the shopkeeper, you know, and just trial and error. No, you need to learn maths.
That's right. Well, that's a good point, because there's techniques. Like, for example, this is boxing as an example. You can go into a gym and you could be hitting a bag, but you might not have any technique.
That's right.
You need to be taught technique.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You need to learn. Like, you can be doing it, but you might not be getting the most efficient results.
Right.
But some people are gifted in that way, because the Most High might give them the spirit to develop the techniques.
They might have raw talent or raw strength, physical strength.
Like Bruce Lee, for example.
Yeah.
The Most High put the wisdom on him to develop his own style and technique, where he got a lot of power out of it.
Yeah.
But not everybody's got that spirit to be able to do that.
Right.
See, that was his gift from the Lord. And by the way, we've said it before, Bruce Lee was an Israelite, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But not to digress from your point, because your point was...
There's some things you need to be taught. You need to be taught.
About the truth of birthdays and the wickedness.
Yes, you need to be taught from...
And it's true what brother...
Someone,
right?
Teacher.
Arya is saying, because...
The Ethiopian eunuch, Slakia.
No, you finish what you're saying, brother.
No.
I'll get that.
Yeah, because true what you're saying, because sometimes you never hear the saying, it says, oh, that's a good point, I never thought about it in that way. You know what I mean? You never thought about it in that way. So that's why sometimes it's good when somebody can teach you something to think about it in a different kind of a, you know?
Yeah, to help you to open up your mind.
Open up your mind.
Like I've learned,
Vision.
and I've said it before, like some brothers like I held up in this camp, broad-minded, just like a broad-minded person.
Yeah.
Right. Me, I come into the truth. I had my perspective. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, elders and brothers like yourself too, and I'm saying all the brothers, and even the brother, the London Central elder, just like I pick up the spirit that he's got a very broad mind, just like understanding of a variety of different subjects, like traveling, brothers reading spirits, understanding of like news. Some people are good with news, like you're good with like current events. Some brothers are just good with current events. Right? I could know a current event, but how I will explain it, you know what I'm saying? Some brothers are just good. Brothers are some brothers like in this camp too good with prophecy. Our brother, you know, and brothers. You got brothers another brother is good with current events.
Yeah.
Another elder just brings it out like it's just like fucking hell. Like when he just comes out, it just keeps coming. Just keep current event. Like you say, you can't keep up.
Yeah.
I can't keep up with the current events, but that's the brother's gift, you know.
Yeah, just quickly, because you mentioned it, this is a good point. This is Acts chapter 8, starting at verse 26. And the angel of the Lord spake unto Philip, saying, Arise and go towards the south, unto the way that goeth down from Jerusalem unto Gaza, which is desert. And he arose and went, and behold, a man of Ethiopia, a eunuch of great authority. So that's an interesting point, because this eunuch was of great authority, so he was used to giving orders, because someone in authority gives orders. Now that's a good sign of a man of the Lord, because we give orders, but we're also supposed to take orders too.
True.
That's a big part of being in this truth, because it can't just be a one-way street. And
Give and take.
Yeah, and the guys that come into this thing and think, you know what, I'm going to get some kind of position and I'm going to order men around and that's going to be it. They ain't got the right mindset to this truth, because really we're supposed to be servants.
Yeah.
And even though we've been given a little bit of authority, maybe within the camp over certain brothers, that's not for you to sort of lord it and abuse it and think, oh, I'm somebody now because I've got this position.
Yeah.
That's nonsense. That's completely contrary to what Yahushua taught us, because what did he say? He that is the greatest of you should be the servant.
Yeah,
roughly paraphrasing. So like if you think about it, a king is actually serving his people, not serving him. A good king. So a good king is supposed to serve his people, not himself.
Yeah.
You know? That's why good kings, they'll be on top of their game.
Yeah.
You know, having watchmen on the wall.
Yeah.
You know, enemies coming to invade them.
Being able to delegate.
There you go.
Responsibilities.
Exactly, and give out judgment.
Yes,
Like,
as well.
like, for example, when King Solomon had the case brought to him with those two women arguing about the baby.
Oh man, that was one of my favourite ones, man.
Yeah, he had to pass judgment on that. And that wasn't a light thing, because if he'd have pronounced the wrong judgment...
One of your favourites.
Yeah,
Oh, I love it, man.
if he'd have pronounced the wrong judgment, that could have ended up having a knock-on effect on the nation.
Yeah.
So the king really is actually, he gets money, he gets women, he gets palaces and all this stuff. You know, that's another problem with Jake, man. They talk this shit in the hood about, I'm a king, right? But you ain't no fucking king, because you ain't got a kingly mindset. You haven't got a ruling class mindset. You're still running around the block with your fucking pants hanging around your ass, calling yourself a king, but you don't even know the first thing it takes to have a kingdom, man. You haven't even got servants serving you, so how are you talking about you're a king? Yeah, we are kings in the spirit, because, you know, we're Yasharala, we are princes of the power, but, you know, there's a lot that comes with that. That's why a lot of these people that talk about, and the women too, they talk about I'm a queen and all this kind of shit. A lot of them just throw these words out there without any understanding of what these words mean, because if you go into the etymology of the word queen, it actually means a whore.
Yeah.
You know, but yet a lot of these women will call themselves a queen.
And it's not spelled Queen, it's Quean. That's the whore one.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, the etymology going
The
back.
metro, yeah.
Right.
If you can correct me on that.
No, I think you're right. I know the spelling is slightly different.
Yeah.
I forget which one is Lizzie sitting on her throne and, you know, Jenny working at the strip club. I forget which way around it is.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is
We were saying about there's things we need to be taught.
we need to be taught. So the Ethiopian eunuch, this eunuch was of great authority, but yet he was able to humble himself to Philip, who was a man who in the world he would be perceived as having no authority in the world, but in the spirit he was one of the 12. So he had great authority in the spirit.
Yeah.
So the eunuch was likely of the elect because he had the understanding to be able to humble himself.
Yeah.
So let me read it on, right? It says, and he arose and went and beheld a man of Ethiopia, a eunuch of great authority under Candace, queen of Ethiopians, who had the charge of all her treasure, and had come to Jerusalem for to worship, was returning and sitting in his chariot, and read Isaiah the prophet. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, Go near and join thyself to his chariot. And Philip ran thither to him, and heard him read the prophet Isaiah, and said, Understandest what thou readest? And he said, How can I, except some man should guide me? And he desired that Philip, that he would come up and sit with him. And the place of the scripture which he read was this: He was led to the he was led as a sheep to the slaughter, and like a lamb dumb before his shearer, so he opened not his mouth. And in his humiliation, his judgment was taken away. And who shall declare his generation? For his life is taken from the earth. And the eunuch answered Philip and said, I pray thee, of whom speaketh the prophet of this? Of himself or of some other man? Then Philip opened his mouth and began at the same scripture and preached unto him Yahushai. And as they went on their way, they came unto a certain water, and the eunuch said, See here, what is water? What doth hindereth me to be baptized? And Philip said, If thou believest with all thine heart, thou mayest. And he answered and said, I believe that Yahushai is the anointed and is the Son of God. And he commanded the chariot to stand still, and they both went in unto the water, and both Philip and the eunuch, and he baptized him. And when they were come up out of the water, the Spirit of the Lord caught away Philip, that the eunuch saw him no more, and he went on his way rejoicing. So that's like, you could kind of say teleportation. Philip was there with the eunuch, and all of a sudden the Lord called him up and he was no longer there. And the eunuch went away rejoicing. But Philip was found as Azotus, and passing through he preached in all the cities till he came to Caesarea. So that eunuch was able to humble himself.
Yeah.
And you got something?
Yeah, I got something.
No.
So yeah, you was making the point about king, right? Or what was you talking about?
Having a regal mindset.
Right, being humble, yeah, being able to be taught. And you mentioned something about being. Well, I think I had a precept. I'm looking at this precept.
Go ahead.
Goes into Surah 25.
See, I'll just say this.
Yeah,
It's all good and well to call yourself a king. Like I can call myself a boss. I can call myself a CEO. But I haven't got a company.
True.
Okay, I might have a little thing that I run by a little hustle that I run by myself. But I'm not gonna oversell it. Like for example, I don't have like tens of thousands of people working for my company.
Oh.
You know? I run my shit by myself. But yeah, I could call myself a CEO, but really that's like inflating my ego. Why should I need to inflate my ego? You know, really, why do you need to do that? Why do you need to try and try and project yourself as something more than you are? That usually comes from a place of insecurity. Like, if you know you ain't shit, right? And you're coming around people who are like, oh, well, I know I ain't shit, but let me try and project like I'm somebody. That's pride, man.
Yeah.
And who are you fronting? You're lying to yourself. And one of the worst people to lie to is yourself, because you might be able to lie to other people, but when you start trying to lie to yourself, that's when you fuck up. That's when you start going off the rails, man. Because there you are sitting in your head thinking yourself to be somebody when you're not. It's better to be real, man, and just be real.
I've got a definition for the word boss, yeah? The word boss, it says a person who is in charge of a worker, group or organization. Head, chief, principal, director,